Hey guys, Josh here from Think Fit. I thought I'd do a little video around like how we help our clients with nutrition, and that is simply through creating a report through Precision Nutrition. And I'm Precision Nutrition Level 1 qualified. They do a fantastic course based on not just food itself, but understanding habits and the psychology of eating and things like that. So I think it's been an absolute game changer in terms of how I coach people in general, but also with nutrition. As you can see here, powered by Precision Nutrition. First page, it has like congratulations, gives a few tips like get started today, eat the right amount of food. Through this guide, you'll understand how to do portions correctly. And I think that's an absolute game changer if you're looking to move away from calorie counting, which I highly suggest you do once you understand a little bit more about food. And this guide is perfect for that. Understanding that to track though is still important because once you measure something, you can manage it. And that's a really important lesson to take home. If you say I've been good, our ego influences us to think we're actually good. In truth, unless you're recording it, you're never going to remember that snack or those other little things that you ate along the way. It says go at your own pace, so that is important as well. There is certain people who love to just get a plan and follow it, but some people think they need that and then they fall off really quickly. So it's finding what works for you, and using a coach is really beneficial for that situation. Overthinking it, when you're overthinking it, it's just a matter of putting the pieces together. So breaking it down as simply as it does in this program and really helping you to understand the fundamentals of something. When you understand the fundamentals, it means that you're going to be able to make adjustments because you actually know what you're doing. You're not just following blindly. Keeping things handy like this guide to make sure that you can reflect and move forward. As I said, this is based off calculations of the person that I was working with at that point, so determining their personal needs. You cannot really follow someone else's diet because their lifestyle habits and things like that may not reflect yours. So you may not be having enough energy if you're consuming enough energy if you're following someone else's meal plan that's designated by their daily intake. For instance, if they're a salesperson, they're constantly walking around, but you sit at a desk for 12, 14 hours a day. Things that you need to consider. As you can see, there is age, sex, weight, height, activity level, which is a combination of two things. So that is basically your movement, your predetermined exercise, and then what you do for a living, which is movement throughout the day. Preferred eating style, we talk about that. There is a couple options there. There's anything that's paleo, there's vegetarian and Mediterranean. And for this person, they wanted 5 meals a day. This can be changed pretty easily. It's totally up to you how you want to plan your day, and it's just a matter of moving the portions around. The objective for this one was to lose weight and to get to 70 kilos. So they were 77. So lose about 7 kilos. Not sure on the time frame, but what we like to say at Think Fit is anywhere from 0.5 to 1 kilo per week is usually reasonable, but women sometimes do fluctuate. And it's about getting these healthy habits and eating consistently over time down pat. You see, you could do it really good for 6 weeks, but if you fall off track and put the weight back on, what's the point? So why not aim for a larger goal over a long span of time where you're going to see these results because the changes become habits. You're not even thinking about it eventually. For this person, I think it was Sarah, we can see that throughout the day, they're going to have 2 palm-sized protein portions. They're going to have 4 to 6 serves of veggies, 5 cupped handfuls of carbs, and 7 thumbs of fats. So those hands, this is how we start to understand portion servings for people. Palm, that area, exactly like it shows on the photo. Going to make sure throughout the day at least 2 servings of the palm is consumed. Veggies, we talk a fist, so it doesn't matter if it's half broccoli, half carrot. As long as it's 1 fist, that's 1 serve. To many of you, that may be a huge shock in understanding that, wow, I eat very little vegetables, even though I have it twice a day. Like, think about it. That means lunch, you're going to need 2 fists. Dinner, you're going to need 2 fists. Why is it so important? Vegetables are really high and dense in nutrients. Nutrients are important for metabolic functions. So if you think of metabolism, your metabolism needs the right fuel sources to actually create some burning. Like, if you want to talk about burning fat, like that's one way we can look at it. It doesn't work quite like that, but you do need the right chemical processes occurring to make sure that you can function properly. We talk about carbs. So that's a cupped hand. So say if like cupped hand of rice, cupped hand of oats, 5 a day. So this person's macronutrients were spread out very differently to most people we recommend. Usually we have a higher protein intake because when they eat higher protein, they're fuller for longer, and they also burn a lot more energy trying to consume the food and break down the food. So that's why we have protein usually as a higher source. Then you've got fats. So fats are essential for many vital things in the body. even the ability to absorb some of the vitamins from the vegetables. So your fat-soluble vitamins, Fats are important for like hormones, your skins, your nails, things like that. We'll go through a food list in a little bit. You can see that these servings also correlate into about grams. So for instance, it does say 85 grams a day, but that wouldn't be 85 grams of chicken. That would be, we kind of say somewhere around 100 grams of chicken has about 30 grams of protein. So that would be, if you broke it down, almost 300 grams of chicken to get that amount of protein throughout the day. That's a little bit confusing, and that's why I don't like that approach too much. Whereas if you're just looking at the palms, it's like, sweet, all right, well, I'm going to eat protein in 2 meals. It's going to be 2 palms, add the veggies, fats, and whatever else. It also gives you the energy output, energy target. So that's your calories. This is another approach you can use MyFitnessPal, whatever else. And it's just simply tracking the food and figuring out how much energy. They do believe that tracking calories is up to 25% incorrect because things aren't always the same. So going this approach, aiming for a rough average rather than being hyper-focused on what you're eating, it just gives you a little bit more freedom, a little less guilt, and then you can really maximize on just being healthy and choosing the right options. Gives a couple of meal options for you to put together. Meal planning teaches you how to plan a little bit around food with the reading of labels. So we aim for minimally processed whole foods. When I talk about that, it is pretty much shopping around the outside of the shop, making sure that you have fruits, vegetables, meats, and things like that. There is a little tip on how to adjust, which will be in the next few pages, not here. This page just shows you a real life sort of example. So that palm of meat, the fist of veg, and so on. And like I said, it's not all or nothing. It's doing this over time, aiming for those targets and actually having targets and being close more often. Because when you actually are doing something for yourself, you build your self-esteem, you build your self-confidence because you're showing to yourself that you're turning up for yourself. And this plays out with fitness, food, and whatever else in life that you're setting goals for. The reason they use palms or your hand is it's relative to you. So usually it's relative to the amount of energy required. This is the part where I was talking about the labels. So if you're looking at a label, you can see 20 to 30 grams. Usually a woman would say the lower end, a man's the higher end. When we're talking palm protein, 20 grams. So if you had a protein shake and it was 30 grams for a male, that would be 1 serve of protein. And that's just how we break it down to make it a little less confusing. But we want to eat mainly whole foods. So hopefully it doesn't have a label and you just use your hand to figure that out. Just little tips on how to meet your targets, some fantastic ways to really just sit and think about it. Counting calories and macros, like it did work for me initially, but I became hyper-focused on those things. I was even measuring chocolate chips, putting on top of ice cream to make sure I met my macros through a varied of ways. Turns out it was probably not the healthiest way, and I shouldn't have been looking to do those things, but we all like our treats here and there. And it was just making that mindset shift from, I don't actually need the ice cream, I'm tired, that's why I'm craving it. I just need to go to bed earlier or make sure my food throughout the day is enough energy, aiming for those targets that we were giving so that I'm not overtired and it's like a little bit before bed and I'm not about to go to bed. Gives you a portion tracker. We use a different style of portion tracker. We'll scroll down to the foods. So understanding the traffic light system that we use. This is an absolute game changer for so many people because it just brings some realness to it. If you look at the Eat More list, so that's the green, they're foods that are minimally processed, they're whole foods, they're fantastic for you. You notice there's a few odd ones for some of us, like goat and camel, but these are eaten, you can give them a go and see what it turns out like. There is insects as well, delicacies in some countries. Lentils and beans, it does confuse some people, but it says here, these only count as your protein source if a more protein-rich option, such as above, is not in the meal. Otherwise, they count as a carbohydrate source as they contain more carbohydrates than protein. So this is usually for vegetarians and vegans. Look at the yellow list. So these are somewhat processed. They're put in packaging or they're like cooked a certain way, and it changes the nutritional output of them. So they become a yellow, eat sometimes sort of food approach. Eat less is pretty much your fun foods that people say, the foods that you miss out on. But realize that when you make that transition from the eat less to eat more, you're going to feel better. Your metabolism is going to be firing off. You're going to be feeling like you're going to have so much more energy. You're going to see results because your body's actually able to put the right things to use. It does say high mercury fish there. So this is from America. So I know that is an issue over there. I'm not too sure in Australia if mercury is an issue. And you can see these are highly processed foods, okay? Same for the carbohydrates, as the eat more, so the green list. These are your wholesome beans, wholesome wheat, sorry. Looking through plain non-Greek yogurts, sweet potatoes, yuca. You also do have corn there. So fresh and frozen fruit is actually a carb. Doesn't mean it's good or bad. Not necessarily. All food should kind of be looked at somewhat neutrally, but understand there is better, like more nutritional value eating on the spectrum that we're providing here. When you look at the yellow list, it's somewhat processed, and just taking that into consideration, like where could you transition some of these foods into the eat more foods and the eat less, really limiting your intake on that as much as you can, because these foods themselves, they just change your mood, they change your body, they create stress within the body. Diabetes, all sorts of things is related to high sugar consumption. So thinking about the food you're eating, creating awareness, tracking it, reduces the amount you're actually going to eat, and therefore improving your quality of life. Fats, eat more, eat some, eat less. Same principle. You can see the foods available here. Nuts are a fantastic source of fat, and they're pretty easy. But what I want you to think about is when you're eating your fats, you only get a thumb. So if you're there eating half an avocado and you should be only eating like one thumb, you're probably over-consuming by 3 thumbs. But within your day, if you have 3 fats and you're just going to eat your avocado and you have 3 thumbs, well, yeah, you know what? It's going to work, because throughout the day, you're still only going to end up with the 3. So it's learning how you can change the way you eat or improve it so that you're moving towards those targets, and you make sacrifices in certain areas to actually hit those targets and keep yourself happy. So it's not about following a strict plan. It's like, all right, well, lunch, I could have had nuts, but you know what? I feel like extra avocado today. I'm just going to go without my nuts for lunch. And that's why this approach is fantastic, because you can just kind of mind map or write it down and just move things around as if it's a template, and you can put it into practice. You go out for dinner, you're like, oh, I know I usually have a protein for dinner, which is a steak, veggies, carbs. Well, you can actually be like, all right, well, cool, that's available here. I can eat that. And it's going to taste pretty good usually. The only time when you're at the pub, whatever, the fats, you're not going to know what it's quite cooked in. So just be a little bit mindful of that. But in the long run, if you're eating better, if you're choosing the steak and the salmon over like the burgers, because you know that you can track it and trace it, you're going to have a better outcome over 6 weeks, because those meals are going to improve significantly and you're going to feel better about your choices. When it comes to vegetables, I posted the other day, eat the rainbow, not Skittles. We're talking about changing the colors of vegetables that you're actually eating throughout the week. So like I said, this is an American company. They do have some American vegetables. I haven't actually seen some of these, but I'm sure you could find them. And it's just knowing, like, what do you enjoy eating? Do you know how to prepare them? Is that something you need to look at that you don't know how to prepare? And it's about being curious, learning, and playing with some of the foods to find something else you might like. If you're someone that can't eat the same foods regularly, find out what's the easiest food you cook most often and try and run with that for a little while. If you're not getting results, then you reach out, try and make adjustments where you need to. This is just a scale of what I said earlier. So understanding body weight loss, this is in pounds, so you're half that. Like we said, we aim for anywhere from 500 to a kilo a week if you're aggressively approaching it. Over a long haul, just depends how consistent you are. We work on an 80-20 principle, which means 80% of the time you're good, 20% of the time you may not be, and that might slow your results down a little bit more, but you're feeling comfortable, you're enjoying your weight loss journey, and you're seeing changes to your body and your mindset as well. There is a few other things, guys, but that is more than enough to get an idea of how we help our clients, and it's just a matter of going backwards and forwards. What were your obstacles this week? How can we navigate them? I'm pretty sure we've almost heard just about all of them now. And it's a matter of reframing what your concerns are and figuring out what's the best approach. And sometimes it is supplements, sometimes it is something different to what you'd think you'd hear, but it's having that conversation with a coach and understanding what changes you can make that are going to help you get to your goal. I hope that helps. And if you need help with any nutrition, reach out. I'd love to put you through either our nutrition program or come in, enjoy our strength and training, and add the nutrition to your workout so that you're going to actually feel better. You're going to grow that lean muscle mass. You're going to burn the right amount of fat and live the life that you want to live. That's about it, guys. Remember, you become what you think, so think fit.